Hello, everyone. I'm Nonto Masuku, the convener of Accelerate Afrique, the global community for African women in leadership. Welcome to our Leadership Plus webinar series, a series where we unpack essential tools for African women in leadership to thrive. Now, in the month of August, we have been talking about mentoring and coaching. And we have what has come through from our discussion is that mentoring and coaching are valuable tools that can accelerate one's personal and professional development. And this is especially true for women. So beginning of August, we had a discussion on mentoring. And then we had a conversation that we had with the youth on the importance of mentoring. Today, we'll be talking about coaching, what it is and what it isn't, and why everyone needs a coach. And with me to unpack this tool is Elona, who is soon to be Dr. Hlatswayo. Now, Elona is an expert in identifying and developing potential in individuals. She is a master coach accredited by Africa Board for Coaching, Consulting, and Coaching Psychology. And she's also a registered Commencer coach. And Commencer stands for Coaches and Mentors of South Africa, where she sits on the board of directors as the chairperson for the Research Portfolio Committee. Welcome, Elona. It's such a privilege to have you with us today.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to engage with you on this important topic.
Thank you so much, Elona. I know there's so much that you could be doing right now. Apart from studying for your PhD, there's so much else that you could be doing. But we really appreciate you making time to share your insights with us today. So maybe just start off. What is a master coach, Elona? And I know I've just mentioned that you actually sit on the board of the Research and Portfolio Committee. Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about what that role entails.
Okay, so I'll start off maybe with your first question. A master coach, if you look at the professionalization of coaching, there are different levels and different categories. So master with the ABCCP is not the highest. There's also chartered coach, and it basically speaks to how many coaching hours you've accumulated, professional coaching hours that you've accumulated, and also the qualifications that you bring to coaching. So if I've done a 3-day course in coaching, I can't really become a master coach because then I don't have the theoretical underpinnings of what makes coaching. I'm maybe more a practice-based coach. So I have more than 2,500 coaching hours and counting. And that's the master coach category. Commencer also has that, but I'm registered in both just to diversify myself. And on the Commencer side, I sit on the Research Portfolio Committee as the chairperson, and that makes me a member of the board of directors. The research portfolio basically promotes evidence-based practice in coaching, and evidence-based practice is really the fusion of what we do in practice and what theory says. So we bring the two together, and as a committee, we give information to members. We assist students who are doing research. We promote coaches basically improving themselves in terms of knowledge and resources. So we'll share articles or whatever's happening in industry. It's our committee that does it.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. I'm sure many of us had that question, wondering what is a master coach and the whole research side of things. So thank you for sharing that. So maybe let's get into the thrust of things. What is a coach? Maybe let's just break that down. Many times people interchange, mentoring or a mentor and a coach. Let's break it down. What is a coach and what are the responsibilities of a coach?
Okay, so coaching is one of the developmental interventions that exist in the market, overlaps with a few others like counseling, mentoring. So how you differentiate a coach is that the point of departure for coaching is that we come as equal parties in the coaching relationship. We believe that our clients are thinking partners and they're able to make decisions, and our role is to journey with them on that thinking journey. We challenge our coachees to be able to clarify their thoughts and also journey towards their goals. Difference with therapy is that coaching is solution and future focused. If I give an example, if, say, for example, you had a traumatic incident, typically you would go to a counselor or a therapist for that. But we also know that trauma doesn't leave us. Trauma has it's got this lasting effect. Mm-hmm. If in the future you're now like, I'm aware that I have a traumatic past, but I now want to move forward, then a coach would become handy there, because yes, we understand the reality of your past, but we don't dwell on the past. We help you come up with strategies to move forward and get to where you want, the future that you're designing, or the goals that you're designing. So coach and coachee have equal accountability. It's not like a teacher and student relationship where a teacher brings the knowledge. So the coachee is accountable and responsible to do the actions that come out of the coaching conversation, and the coach also is responsible for driving their part of the relationship as well. And maybe the difference with mentoring.
Yes.
Did you ask that?
Okay. Yes, the difference between a mentor and a coach.
A coach does not need to have had that experience. So I don't need to be a medical doctor in order for me to coach medical doctors. In fact, I coach quite a few of them. And I don't need to have been in that, because that limits my relationship to you based on my experience. And in coaching, we believe that you have your own potential. So if my coaching is only limited to saying, Nonto, you need to follow these steps because this is what I did, what happens to the rest of the potential that you have, that you could possibly go even beyond where I got to? So mentorship is based on my journey, my story, and my tips based on my experience. And so I would mentor somebody who says, I want to know how to become a coach. But if it's purely mentoring, then I'm merely giving you insights based on my exposure and my experience. So we say there's room for every intervention. There's room for mentors, there's room for coaches, and there's room for counselors, because at different stages of your life, you're going to need a different intervention.
Thank you for that, Elona. So how about looking at, say, women in leadership, right? In your C-suite or executive women, what intervention would you feel do you think is ideal for them? Is it more of a mentor that they need, or a coach, or is it both?
So for women in the C-suite, I believe that, so you can have, so I like to work where there is a dual approach. So we will coach somebody, but it's always good if internally they have a mentor or a sponsor who's going to help them have doors opened for them, who's going to, get opportunities for them from the knowledge that they have internally. So I guess you can hear from my thread that mentors, they play a very important role, while coaches also play an important role.
I agree with that.
Yeah, so I think a dual approach, because the two professionals will be doing complementary work.
Yes. No, I agree with that. Thank you so much. And I think from what you have said, really, a coach is really someone who helps you unlock your potential. And you can look at them as an accountability partner or a sounding board. Yes. I have had instances where, coaches come and they're expecting answers from me. I'm a strengths coach. And so you expect, they come and they expect answers from you. And yet your role as a coach is really to get somebody to to introspect. The answers come from the
Yes.
coachee. Yours is to be a sounding board, is to be an accountability partner, and to just help someone to unlock their full potential. Thank you so much for that clarity. And my next question to you would be, from your experience, is there a way to coach African leaders that is unique to Africa? You know, where we use some African coaching model? And if so, what is the relevance?
So I think it's very important to think about the context that we're in. It is, you know, that's a very important question. It's been following me for weeks. I think it's very important to think about who this person is from an identity perspective and how do they define and position themselves. Because when we are connected to who we are and how we want to present ourselves, then we go into the workplace and we're supposed to present ourselves in a Western way. And if for you there's a gap between who you are and who you're, you know, playing, the role you're playing, then it becomes a push and pull. And sometimes certain things feel a little bit uncomfortable. So from the leadership perspective, things I've heard is I feel that some of the ways in which we manage others are cold. They lack the warmth of Ubuntu. So I think it's important to bring that into the workplace and say, you know, I have compassion, but I can be assertive, but compassionate. I can be a leader right at the top. I can be a leader right at the top, but I don't have to be hard and cold if that's not who I am from an identity perspective. So speaking to an African coaching model, I think for me, it's one that looks at a person holistically. What context are they from? What context are they going to? And value the things that they bring in from a sociological perspective. Yeah, from a societal perspective, to say, I value that you're going to listen to me and you're going to listen from this perspective, also understanding the lens through which people come to the table. So I've had requests from people that say, I want a Black coach who's going to understand some of the realities that I face. I have been, I've been instrumental in coaching executive Black females who, for example, I'm a mother, I'm a daughter-in-law, but I'm an executive. How do I juggle those three roles and still be effective in them, right? And the one lady said, I didn't feel that if I had a white male or a white female coaching me, that these things they would understand, that I would have to go to lengths to even, explain what am I talking about, So it's very important, to take the person holistically, understand their cultural lens and their cultural context, because they bring that into the workplace. So as a coach, maybe help them to optimize on it.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree with that, because I think you want somebody who kind of relates with where you are coming from and who you are as an individual. And while we're still talking about Africa, you look at it and you find that the concept of coaching isn't new to the African continent. We have always had aunts or uncles or grandparents that play that role, though informally, and we've never really, branded it as coaching. So
Yes,
what
yes.
role do coaches out of our close-knit circles then play? I mean, we already have our aunts and our uncles and our grandparents. Why do we need to formalize? Why do I need a coach outside of this close-knit circle?
So I think the world is changing, and we don't all have that close-knit circle anymore due to globalization, migration. The workplace that I work in, or the work reality that I work in, is possibly not the same as the one that my mother works in. And so some of the things that we could consult in are shifting. We are said to have 5 generations in the workplace at the moment, and all with different outlooks, different goals, and different ways of working. So it's important to understand that even though we've had it in our families and in our circles, some of it has ceased to be relevant. Some of the insight, I mean, I get amazing insights from my dad, but I need to then translate it to where I'm at now, and it makes sense. But from his context to mine, I can't do a direct transfer. And so that's where formal coaching comes into place. To unlock that greatness that you have from your close-knit circle is very important, and then see how to use it, how to implement it in this dynamic new context that people are working. And because I'm a firm believer that we don't throw away things from the past. We just shift the focus and make it work in the new, in the VUCA economy.
I totally agree with that. And research actually shows that women, that people need coaches, but it appears this applies really more to women than men. Why do you think women, maybe let's actually focus on, say, African women in leadership, why do you think they need coaches? What do you need a coach for? I mean, you look at a woman who's already in leadership, they've already arrived. They already hold that position that everybody is dying to have. So why do I need a coach? Why would an African woman in leadership actually need a coach?
So it's Women's Month in South Africa, and I like your question. So I think the role women play in society, in family, in the workplace has shifted dramatically. The woman's role at home has mostly stayed the same, that she's the nurturer or the one to do chores and whatever. But now she's the same woman who may have to attend board meetings at 7 a.m. The same mother who is expected to drop her kids at school at 7 a.m. The same mother who is the only female in the board, who, for the men, all those other things are taken care of. They don't actually care if the meeting's at 6:30 because we have international partners, because somebody else, a woman, is doing all these other things for them. So when it comes to that, now the woman is the one that's sitting on the board. Now the woman is the one that needs to still come back and make sure that, oh, I have a sick child. Then do I not go to work? What do I do? Things that haven't really been an issue for executive men because it's always sorted. Chances are when you have a sick child, who stays at home? It's the mother. And so when you speak to Black female executives, there's a lot of, there's a layer that's not seen. There are things that, you can say her day starts at 8 a.m., but what time does her day actually start? Right. And what time does the day end when she gets home? So when I coach a Black female, whether executive or even middle management, there's that whole other layer of another full-time job that she runs. There's so much societal expectations. And, there's a term that I don't really like when they say the strong Black woman. It's encouraging that women should, break their backs while at it, doing these 2 or 3 full-time jobs at the same time. So I think there's a need for coaching to raise self-awareness, to guide them on that identity formation, to say, okay, what are the functions that I play that are critical for me? Why are you judging yourself that you didn't do the dishes in the evening? Is it the same as your work duties? Is it the same level as your parenting duties? And so what is priority to you? And what does success look like given all the other things that you're doing? And so I think women have had to be measured on a male scale. And it's important to coach because the judgment starts within. It's usually the woman judging herself or the women judging themselves or each other. And it's important to start to create ways in which that as they grow in their careers, they're also aware of that there's this other layer that is either guiding you to growth or making things quite difficult for you.
I totally agree with that, Elona. And from my personal experience, as a woman, you start off on your, professional career journey, and then things happen along the way. You get married, you have children, and you kind of forget who you are or what it is that you had set out to do. And I think
Yeah.
it's so critical to have a coach who kind of then helps you along the way, who helps you back on, gets you back on track. Because I think coaching is about a coachee setting goals for themselves and then taking steps moving forward to actually attain those goals. So sometimes you need that accountability partner or somebody who actually helps you um, through those struggles, because so much happens when it comes to women. There's so many things that we have to do, and we may forget ourselves many times and focus on other people. But you need, that person for your own personal development, for your own professional development. You've got to have somebody who can, help you to remain focused despite all the barriers and everything else that you meet along the way. So I appreciate that answer. Thank you so much for that. So now, everybody, okay, not everybody, but you have so many people now who claim to be coaches. I coach this, I am a this coach, I'm a that coach, I'm a that coach. And it's like, okay, how do I even get started? If I want to choose a coach, how do I choose a coach? So how does one choose a coach? How do you know that this is the right person for you?
Controversial question. So I think it's important to put some thought into it, because coaching is also a relationship. Maybe have a short meeting, check if you click with the coach, right? Check their testimonials from other people, check their track record. Is demographics an issue for you? Do you want somebody that comes from the same place as you, speaks the same language as you? I don't have the right answer when it comes to demographics, because I've seen it work where it's the opposite demography that pulls you out of your comfort zone. And then sometimes it's somebody like you that pulls you out of that. So check with yourself, is it important, the demographical profile of my coach, or am I looking for a coach that is going to help me get to the goals? There are many reasons why the demography might be important. Some people, it's a language thing. Some people, they don't relate well with people who are way older or people who are younger. So when you know yourself and know that, for me, listening to younger people is a problem, then don't go and hire a younger coach, because your own bias might be a barrier to your development. So what am I saying? First, know yourself. Why do you need a coach? What kind of coach do you need? And be open to change. So I have coaches myself. And over the years, I've had different types of coaches. I'll sit and say, okay, I haven't had a male coach. So, okay, this year I'm going to have a male coach. And for me, that's it. Like, grow from different demography and different experience. And that's what's worked for me. But I think definitely looking at their testimonials, their track record. I'm not saying a new coach can't do that, because I've seen some of the students I lecture make amazing shifts in people's lives. It's just in terms of looking up coaches that you don't know, looking at their track record and their what they've done for other people might be helpful. But I always say the most important thing is to have a conversation and see how you feel. Listen to your sixth sense and see if that's really going to work for you.
Thank you for that, Elona. So does one being, okay, like I said earlier on, you are soon to be Dr. Elona Hlajayo, and you have all these certifications and accreditations. Would you say that as you choose a coach, those are some of the things that you need to look at the qualification of the coach, or is it more of the experience of the coach? What's your take on that?
I value both, practice and qualification. But there's a third dimension that I think is important. I think a coach should walk the talk, and that is continuous development. So if I'm going to be a development partner, but the last time I did anything developmental was 10 years ago, then something should be telling you that perhaps not. So I think it's important. The experience is important. The qualification is important. But like I said earlier, that the world is changing. So how in touch am I with what's happening in the world? What am I doing for continuous professional development? And that's where being a member of a professional body gives credibility, because they need to do continuous professional development just to protect you as a client, to ensure that the person that you're entrusting your goals with goes through regular developmental practices. And I think that's really important.
I totally agree with that. Thank you for sharing. Now, Elona, I think from the conversation we've had, from the qualifications, from your experience, there is no doubt that personal development and developing people is something that you are passionate about. And you run the organization Bizpreneur as well. So maybe just tell us a little bit more about Bizpreneur and why you have this passion for developing people.
So Bizpreneur is my passion baby. We believe in maximizing people's potential. We believe in growth. We believe that there is absolutely no way that somebody has no potential. And so this is the operationalization of that, in that we are development partners for individuals, for organizations, for executives, for entrepreneurs. Bizpreneur right now, I think we have 6 coaches, and we all have different focus. And really the thing that brings us together is our passion for growing the seed that is planted in somebody, whether we journey with them as an individual or a team or a business. But, I just get so excited when I start off, for example, with a small business owner, and I start to see them, in spaces where I didn't expect to, or they send me, oh, this is a compliment I got this, or this is a contract I got, and things that they didn't imagine, places they didn't imagine that they could get to. So for me, that's what makes it all worth it. When I see, when I have an executive call me and say, we did it, we met the goals, or the SME who's like, actually, I'm mentoring someone now with the things that you taught me, because they have now grown to a position where they have experience and they also have a passion to grow other people. So, yeah.
Nice. But then how about the inspiration? Where does the inspiration come from? Is it something that maybe from your own personal experience? What has inspired this passion you have?
So I suppose my first career was in psychology. So I guess I've always had a passion for helping people. But when it came to coaching and Bizpreneur, it was more futuristic, to say, why are we stuck here? Yeah. And where are we going? And who's helping people come out of, it can be a cycle of bad things happen to me. I'm unemployed and I keep not getting jobs. It's like, how do you take people out of that and move them forward and say there's a whole future out there waiting for you if you just come out of where you are stuck now? So that's, if I simplify it, that's the passion for me, because I think many people have had difficulty in their careers. Many people have had difficulty in starting businesses. We know businesses are tough to start. But how do you then say, take your eyes away from here and look there? Because here is what is stressing you and here is what is making you stuck. But how do we get you to look there so that it fuels you to grow? So a coach is not necessarily going to be with you all your life. But when that shift in your mind says, I actually can see the future that I want, and I'm going to put the actions to get me there, and I think our job is done there.
I totally agree with that. Your coach is futuristic, so to put it. Mm-hmm. They're looking at your goals. What do you want to achieve in the future? Yes, the now, we know the now, but what do you want to achieve in the future? Thank you for sharing that. I mean, we're coming to the close of our discussion. I just have another question for you. If you were to choose a coach, who would it be?
That is a tricky question. Like a real name.
Oh, well, a real name, yes. Or
I actually think I have.
what type of a person are you looking for?
Right now, one of the coaches that I think is totally amazing in globally in South Africa and so on is Nobantu Portulo. She is the developer of Ubuntu coaching. I think she's totally amazing. She's quite grounded. But like I told you earlier, I look at those coaches and I approach them. So I think in terms of my own dream wish list, at the moment it's Nobantu. It's a list that shrinks and grows because I do approach them and I get them to coach me. So I don't I've had great coaches in the past, locally and internationally as well. Because if you really believe in your development, you've got to invest in it.
That is so true. And I mean, the reason I asked you this question, Elona, is, I mean, people will look at you and say, okay, she's a master coach. She's already a coach. But I think what I'm driving at is that even coaches need a coach. So there's always somebody out there you can actually go to and so that they can move you up to the next level of your, with your profession, your leadership. So I don't think anyone can ever get to a point where they can say, I have arrived. I don't need a coach. There is always somebody that who can always, help you to move on to the next level of your,
exactly.
So in closing, what would your closing remarks be?
I actually think it's important to, our logo, our motto at Bizpreneur is that grow your legacy and live to enjoy it. And it's speaking to that we are not so futuristic that we are not present. It's important to be in the present moment, in what's happening, in what you're building. Don't be so focused on building this future that you don't live now. So it's important as we journey to this future that we picture, be present. Enjoy the now as your actions. If your actions say, I want to be happy, I want to have that, start doing that now. Don't wait till you make the millions to live your life. Don't wait till you make the millions to take time off, because then that's an imbalanced way. And define success by your own parameters. I've met people who haven't made the millions who are much happier than those who've made the millions. So you don't have to make all the mistakes in the world to realize that you grow the legacy, but also live to enjoy it.
Define success by your own parameters, which is why I think everybody deserves, or everybody needs a coach, because really the whole exercise is about you. It's about your goals. It's about your self-awareness. So Elona, thank you so much for making time to be with us today. It's been incredible. And to those who took time to join us, thank you. Someone once said, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with somebody, But I want to say, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, get a coach.